Hey everyone, it's Joey here for Technophile Adventures, and today we're going to take a look at making your piano sound much better if you're actually using the built-in piano sounds in Garageband. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Piano, Steinway Piano. So I created a new project completely empty, and I'm just going to play some chords so that we can get an idea for the sound. And I'm going to be using this thing right here. So if you go up to Window and Show Keyboard, and you'll want to click on the second tab in the upper left hand corner, and that allows you to use your keyboard, your actual, that you use for typing, as like a MIDI keyboard. It sounds okay, but it's really not very full. It's kind of dead, and it'll never cut the mustard in recordings once you start laying instruments onto it. So let's double click on this, and you'll see this little eye icon down here after you double click to come in and edit. You can do adjustments with these controls down here, but in general I think these controls are kind of crappy. So if I click on this eye, you'll notice that there's some plugins. If you drop this down, and there are already some plugins set up, so you see these controls over here. That's kind of what's going on here roughly, although not exactly. So what GarageBand does is it has some presets, and when you make a new instrument it's going to use those presets, but they're not the greatest. They're just very direct, and they don't assume a lot for the context of what you're producing, so that's fine, that's good. But for what we're producing, we want to make this a little more high quality. So I'm actually going to turn these off. And the first thing we're going to focus on is what's known as EQ. So if I go down to EQ, there's a channel EQ button, and if you just click on the middle part here, a pop-up will come up, and it'll show you all the different frequencies that are being used within this piano sound. And actually, when you hit the analyzer down here and start playing it, you'll see where all the sounds are coming from throughout the frequency range. So let's go ahead and have a listen. So as you can see, all these little lines are coming up. Those represent all the different frequencies that are being represented in this sound. And it ranges from like 20 hertz all the way up to 20,000 hertz. In general, human beings can only hear kind of, from, just under 20K to just over 20 hertz in terms of what our ears really pick up. So a lot of times a really good thing to do is completely drop off the low end. So if you click this and toggle this on, you can slide this up and drop on and off as much of the low end as you want. If you pull all the way down on this thing, it kind of slides up, so you push it up a little bit and it'll kind of curve back down. And you can drop off the low end as much as you want. Same thing for the high end. It's usually a good idea to roll off the high end, and I'll just kind of leave that as is. As for the rest of the sounds, it depends on what you're looking for and what sort of notes and what frequencies you want to bring out. If you want a brighter piano, you're going to want to focus up in this range. If you want like a more bass heavy piano, you're going to want to focus in on this range down here, like under 500. It's going to take some experimenting and to get used to. One thing you definitely don't want to do is be dragging this thing all the way up and have these huge peaks. There might be instances where you want to do that, but in general it's probably something that's better to avoid. There's also a really nice way to do this without having to fidget around too much of this with, by figuring things out by yourself. There's a lot of presets that actually they provide here, and some of them are actually really good. So if we go to keyboards, we can have like some of these grand piano settings. So let's go to grand piano EQ1. I'll still turn on these upper and lower drop-offs. So you can see they added a peak here around 45.5 hertz, another one here around, let's see, this is 2050 hertz. So let's have a listen to the difference between this and without the EQ turned on. So I'll set this on a loop here so it's a little easier to just keep it running and listen to the difference while it's playing. So it really depends again on what the sound you're going for, but EQ is definitely a really good way to bring out the different frequencies and ranges that you're looking for. And actually with this bright piano, what I'd actually like to do is bring things up a bit down here in this mid-range. And I'd like to turn this to be not so dramatic. It's a little crazy and out of control here. Turn this back on. And drag this out. And this off. Okay, so let's try this out here. Okay, off first. You can see that's just so much better. And then I want to show you one more technique to go along with it, and that is a track doubling technique. So I'm actually going to make 2 duplicates of this. Let's go duplicate and duplicate. So these inherited the EQ settings and what I already changed. So what I'm going to do for this bottom one is actually turn off the EQ. So you can do that by just pressing the power button. And then if you hold down Alt on your keyboard, you can drag down and copy the notes into the other sections. So what I'm going to do with the top 2 tracks is pan them one of them all the way to the left, the other one all the way to the right. And the other thing I'm going to do is zoom way in here, just way in, so that there's only a slight difference here. I'm going to push down this right channel, so it's going to be playing slightly later. It's going to be a delay, but it's going to be very, very subtle, almost imperceptible. And if I zoom way out, you can see you can't even really see it too much. So one's panned all the way to the left, one's panned all the way to the right. And let's go ahead and listen to those 2 now together. So you can hear that. Now let's listen to that in comparison to what we had to start with. And let's go back one more time real quick. So as you can see, just by adjusting the EQ on the tracks and trying out a little doubling technique, you have a much fuller sound. It sounds way better. The piano just sounds rich, full. It sounds like you're in the room with it instead of this really dead, sort of stale, where all the notes are sort of bleh and mud. So hope you guys like that, and if you want to see more videos on how to make better sounds in GarageBand, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.